One, two.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 62 of the Club Lorcana podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertrioni. With me, right next to me, we're going to introduce him first since he's right here. We have Ryan Walker, friend of the podcast. And across the way is my co-host, Zan Syed. Zan, say hi.
Hi.
Excellent. And we also have Nathan Tripp, looking like the Prince of Darkness over there on the other side of the room.
Ciao.
We actually have a lot to talk about today, everybody, because we have just gotten back from the European DLC Bologna in Italy. What a trip. I mean, I personally, Ryan and I, we played in the CCQ in Cardiff the weekend before. That was in Wales. And then, Zan, what did you play in the week before?
Oh, Stockholm.
Stockholm, that was a CCQ? Just remind me.
Yeah, it was a CCQ and Nordic. What was it called?
Nordic Realms.
Yep, Nordic Realms.
They ran it.
It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, great. And then we spent the week sort of gallivanting around in Europe with our various cohorts. I know you guys all hung out with, basically you would say your wives, and I went and hung out with Lorcana Justice, one of my friends from the space that I do, and lived with him for a few days. And then we played in the DLC in Bologna. So Nathan, why don't you guide us to what we are going to talk about? Let's talk about the metagame breakdown, DLC Bologna first.
Doing the Bologna first. All right, so Bologna ended up having 1,864 players. We have Blurple coming in at a hot 36%, very high. The next highest played deck was Amber Steel with 19%, Emerald Sapphire 15%, Amethyst Steel 14/15%, Amber Emerald drops very far down to 6%. So kind of a strong top four.
Okay, so Zan, you're an experienced card game professional. Does this sound like a healthy metagame to you, or does Blurple have way too big a piece of the pie right now?
Definitely a too big piece of the pie. It's way too big.
Really? Definitely?
Definitely. This is the highest played deck in a DLC ever.
It can't be bigger than Bucky, right?
It is
Way bigger than Bucky, yeah.
Even during Bucky era, Bucky wasn't the most played deck.
Yeah, it only got to like 25%, I want to say. It
Yeah,
was the highest.
and Red Purple was still seeing more play than it.
Okay, so we have a Blurple-dominated metagame, and in fact, Blurple did win. So is this metagame... we've talked a lot when we were at the beginning of the format about like what we predicted, and then we talked about what was forming, and now I feel like we're in a metagame that's fully formed, right? Would you agree or disagree with that assessment?
Yeah, a metagame is fully formed. The thing that we should talk about from this weekend is going into this weekend, we were saying like blue-green was probably going to be the second most played deck, and it wasn't. Amber Steel is what ended up being the second most played deck, right? Because we had access to an Italian tournament that had blue-green at 25%. And one of the cases I was trying to make beforehand was like that's an over-exaggerated amount due to the fact that we were playing blue-green and Jeremy did well with blue-green at CCS, right? Finished top 4, and that influences like a new deck. When a new deck comes up, there's a bunch of hype around it, but we don't really know where it's going to land in the metagame until after the hype dies down. And so I felt like this tournament really showed the real numbers where Amber Steel was the second most played deck instead of blue-green.
I think some of that can be attributed to the size of the tournament, too. In my eyes, when you get to a 2,000-player tournament like that, you get a certain demographic of player that's going to play the aggro deck, play the Amber Steel in this case. And I think we got some of that when we get to that big DLC top tournament.
Yeah, but isn't that what we're trying to predict?
For sure.
So then the prediction was inaccurate in saying that blue-green was going to be that high percentage, right? Once you cross that 20% threshold, you're entering into some of the most played decks of all time, which includes Bucky, which includes Sapphire Ruby, which includes Ruby Amethyst. The other decks usually stay below. I mean, Green Steel is a classic great example of a deck that ended up winning 3 DLCs during set 5, which was Vegas, Seattle, and then China DLC. Um, and so it wasn't even passing the 20% threshold for any of those three tournaments, but it was such a powerful deck. If played correctly, you could win your DLC.
So when we analyze this metagame, what are we recommending people play for set champs? That's the big buzz around this weekend is set championships.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Blurple, right? For set champs. I think that you can expect in your set champs that people aren't going to be playing 100% correctly. So you should maybe just take the most powerful deck.
And that is sort of why I played Blurple at the DLC. You know, I just wanted to play the most powerful cards, and Blurple right now is beating everybody in terms of card quality. There are obviously some strategies that can take advantage of Blurple and exploit it, but in terms of just raw, if we're both top deck and I'm going to top deck better, you can bet on Blurple. Yeah, that's sort of my analysis. I've also been a Blurple guy for a long time. I played it before it was good. I just sort of like the color combination. Ramp into Genie makes a lot of sense. But, you know, I got to ask, I think our major talking point this podcast is going to be, if Ramp into Genie makes so much sense and 36% is way too big of a metagame share, does Blurple need to eat a ban? Is the card on Blurple on the chopping block right now? Zan, thoughts?
I mean, you tell me. Is there a card that you think that needs to be banned?
If you were going to ban one card in Blurple, it would be probably the most powerful card in the format right now, which I think is Sail the Azurite Sea. I think Sail the Azurite Sea is the only ramp spell that like scales into the late game. And when it was previewed, you and I agreed that this is the best card of the set. Sail the Azurite Sea is simply an amazing effect in Lorcana. It lets you keep cards in your hand while you stay ahead. It's kind of like you take an extra turn on turn 2 in a lot of ways. So I think that would be a step that could really curb the power level of blue-purple while still letting it be played, because you could play one jump ahead, you could still play Tipo, you could still have your 8 ramp spells. You just don't have access to a powerful ramp spell that scales well into the late game. What are your thoughts on that? That's the card I think would be public enemy number 1.
Damn. I mean, Sail would hit 2 decks at the same time, which I don't want it to hit blue-green, because I do think that a blue-green is a fair strategy.
I can agree with that. So if you say that Blurple has too high of a metagame share, was something on your mind for the chopping block for Blurple? Like, if it's too high of a metagame share, that means somebody should do something about it, right?
I wish we could just press an emergency button to get another set.
Quite a long time before then.
Yeah, I just don't like the way that the DLCs were placed so that we have to go play Milwaukee with the same stuff, and I just feel like the format's just solved and all the players are doing whatever they can to gain an edge, but no one's gaining an edge, to be honest.
Well, what about like ways that people are like beating or exploiting Blurple? So we saw some success, a lot of day 2 conversion with the green-purple deck. Sort of the Shift Cusco Amethyst Chromacon deck that I helped sort of make while I was in the UK. Do you think something like that could be the answer to the format if Blurple is such a powerful, heavy deck? I mean, Chernadogs, green-purple. There are ways to beat Blurple most of the time. Is that like the answer moving forward?
Definitely not. I mean, you can think about the deck like it's just catch me outside deck, No, it's just a catch me off guard deck, right? And so it caught some bad players off guard, but then day 2 it just kind of crumbled, which I think is as expected, right? Like the first time I played against a deck, I was on the Blurple side and I was playing against it and I beat it pretty easily. And I think that if I were to play it again, I would beat it even easier, because I understand exactly what I need to do in order to beat it, right? I think that it's a play pattern that's easier to solve than when you learn how to play against blue-green. And I think that was the advantage that me and you had when we played in CCS. It's the same exact thing, except for a less powerful deck. And so now that people are going to have a chance to play with it, you're gonna have a huge percentage of the audience. There's not very many places for people to turn and figure out new stuff. So what's gonna happen? It's like people are gonna try it out, and let's say they play against it, they're gonna understand. Oh, this is what I hated when I played this deck. I kept losing with it, and this is the things that I hated when I was losing, and I'm just gonna do that to them. And so when that realization happens, it's just gonna be pretty tough. So the other aspect of it is when day 2 came around, people started talking, and they were like, "Oh, purple green is like the deck. How would you beat it? Does anybody have a list?" And obviously, people were like, "Yeah, I helped with this deck. Here's a list." And the thing just kept spreading around, and then people knew exactly what they needed to do on day 2. So, if like for example, if I was playing that deck in a tournament, by round 2, everybody would know about it, and a similar situation would happen is once people start thinking about it or see the list, then we'll have a good understanding of how to exploit it.
So how are you thinking of like breaking out of the metagame? Like, what's your strategy moving forward? Save us, Sam. We're getting wrapped up in blurple mirrors or playing blue green, and it sucks.
I mean, I think everybody just has to do this. Like, I like to think of this as like a slot style format where everybody's playing slots, and we're just hoping that we're one of the lucky people who gets all the right matchups, right? So if you look at, like, for example, the winner of the tournament, I'm sure that they played wonderfully, but they played against Purple Steel 8 times.
Oh,
It's pretty good.
I guess I played Blurple at the DLC. Guess how many times I played against Purple Steel, guys? Just like to take your first guess, and
I'm
I
gonna
promise
say
it's right.
goose egg.
Yeah, you're up. Nathan nailed it.
Yikes.
0 times.
I played against Purple Steel in round 1, and I was playing dogs, so that didn't feel great, but I did beat it 2-0. But basically, the thing that I'm trying to say here, I'm not trying to be like a downer, but you have to understand the reality of this tournament. This is not one of the tournaments where I would be like, I cracked the format, I'm flying to Timbuktu to win a tournament, you know? We went to Italy, and this is more like you need to have like enough silver bullet type situations where you're like, I'm playing the best choice, and I'm going to try to exploit whatever the highest number is going to be. And so my choice was pretty simple. It was like, let me play dogs. It has the highest win percentage against Blurple, and if I play against Blurple enough times, I will do well. I played against it twice. I won against it twice, and that was not enough for me to get there. So, you know, you just have to move on and try to take another shot at it. So Milwaukee's coming up. Do I think that Blurple is going to see a lot of play? Yeah, so I would like to play a deck that lines up well against Blurple. I think that you can do that with blue-green, amber steel, dogs. You know, you don't have that many choices because, you know, Blurple's the best deck.
Right. Okay, so that basically covers what we're at on the metagame. I guess the big thing to talk about now is we all flew to Europe, right? How do we want to do that? We could get started with our side of the table. We could get started with your side of the table. I'm interested.
Why don't you start over there?
Okay, we'll start over here. So our journey begins. We're going to Cardiff. The first thing I want to say is I had a lot of fans talk to me in Europe, and they were all like, "Did you get your Did you bring luggage? Because you said on the podcast last time that you wanted to do this V Moshowitz and just show up with a deck box." And the answer is, actually, they lost my luggage. It didn't make it to London with me, so I did get to do this V Moshowitz for 2 days. I just lived in Wales with a backpack full of Lorcana cards.
You're not gonna sit there and pretend that it was not your fault that they lost your luggage, right?
We don't victim blame, so
Yeah, we do.
It was 100% your fault.
it wasn't 100% my fault.
Just tell them
Tell
what
them
you did.
what'd you do.
Okay, so the airline's making the announcement. The flight to London's oversold. So they're like, does anybody want to give up the flight, get on tomorrow's flight for $1,000?
So you said yes.
I sleep.
Not at 1,000. He passed on 1,000, but you can see the gears start turning in his head. He's like, if I did this, what time do I actually get to Cardiff, Wales?
We're gamers, right? So we do EV checks. And $1,000 pays for the whole flight. and pays for my entry in all the DLCs, which makes the trip a free roll.
You basically win the tournament.
You win the tournament. Well, you win the CCQ 4 times is the way I described it. But okay, so anyway, I sleep. They're like, all right, we need 5 passengers to give up at $1,300. We'll give you a Visa card with $1,300 on it. I still don't move. Then they're like $1,500, and I would have done $1,500, but the next day is Hannah Lee's birthday. That's Ryan's wife, and I'm excited to hang out with her on her birthday in London. I'd be giving that up, and I told myself I should do it for 15, but it's not worth it. I want to cultivate friendship. This journey is going to be about friendship. I want to cultivate friendship. Then the announcement comes on, and it's like, we need 2 more passengers to give up the seat. We're offering $2,000.
Jeremy's gone. Jeremy walked straight to the desk. I mean,
I'm
it's
like,
like
"Bye,
a
Ryan."
race for the desk.
It was a race for the desk, and I won the race. I said, bye, Ryan, and I got to that counter. And I was like, yep, put me down. And they're like, okay, we'll get your bags off the plane, and everybody's going to get on the plane. You just wait here. We're going to give you a gift card for $2,000, and do you need a hotel for the night? And I'm like, actually, I don't. I'm good. And they're like, awesome. So,
Hannah Lee and I get on the plane. We're gone.
Hannah Lee and Ryan get on the
We'll
plane.
see if you make it to Wales, buddy.
Yeah. We calculate that if I take the next day's plane, I can get on the first train going to Cardiff and then Uber to the venue and get there at like 10, and round 1 starts at 10:30. So it's like, I'm good. Not like really, not in real life, but like I'm good. Anyway, I sit there, I watch everybody get on the plane, and they're like, okay, the 3 people that took it for $1,300, you guys get your $1,300 and you get to go. But the 2 that took it for $2,000, we actually don't need your seats anymore, so you guys can get on the plane. I'm like, oh, okay, but you're going to put my bag back on the plane, right? Because you said you're going to get it off the plane, so now it's going to be back on the plane, right? And the guy looks at me, and he like goes like, yeah, man, we're going to get your bag. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, don't even worry about it. And I go, okay. And it's like pretty clear that he's doing the math and figuring out like, oh, by the time it matters, this guy's going to be in London and I'm going to be at home asleep. So
he basically did one of the Jeremy things.
I don't do that. I treat people better than that.
No, of course.
I would have just told the guy. I would have been like, look, man, you're not going to get your bag. You know what I mean? I would have just told him. But yeah, so I didn't have my bags. Ryan thinks it's my fault because I succumbed to the greed of the offer of $2,000.
What?
Sell out.
Okay. I don't agree with that.
I think it was a
all.
perfect choice, actually. You
I
definitely
think that
should
was
have
like
snapped
absolutely.
it off.
I think you should have snapped it off at $1,300.
Sometimes I feel like I wish my best friend was with me all the time.
As soon as
Yeah,
it's like
the
it
evening
pays
on
for the flight,
friendship.
I snap that off.
I would have been like, bro, go get that bag and keep your bag.
I need money pretty bad right now too. I haven't been working in a long time. I like needed it. At $1,300, I was like itching, and Ryan was like, "Oh, I don't know, my wife's birthday. Think about this."
Wait,
And
so
I
is
was
it
like,
Ryan's fault
I
that you
did
held
not
out?
try and talk you out of
Why
it
did
at
you
all.
not give me a ring?
Oh yeah, I mean, because I can't just always ask you anytime any decision pops up in my life. Sometimes I have to pick.
I know, but I usually help you make some good decisions.
I love all the advice you've given me over the years. I think a big turning point in our relationship was one time I really needed money. I needed to make rent, and I came to you, and you thought I was coming to you for money, but I was coming to you for advice, and you loved it. And we drove around all day that day in Durham, getting some crazy money trying to get rent.
Yeah, and we got money.
Ryan, we got money.
What did you donate?
Some organs.
We sold Tarmogoyfs. Okay, so let's.
He's like, what is that?
Yeah, Ryan actually knows what a Tarmogoyf is, but let's. So that was me getting to Cardiff. We get to London. You know, I don't want to spend too much time doing every stop. We have a great time in London, shopping around for Hannah Lee's birthday. We make it to the Cardiff CCQ. I get with the group of guys I'm staying with. They let me borrow some clothes. They let me borrow some toothpaste. I bought a toothbrush. I'm good. I had a successful Zvi Moshowitz, to be honest.
I feel like this is an optimistic Zvi. Zvi's was intentional. Yours is unintentional.
True, but I had a Zvi Moshowitz, and I lived to tell the tale. And Delta ended up Ubering the bags to Ryan's Airbnb Sunday night, right as we were about to leave. So I ended up getting my bags in time to take it to the UK and hang out there.
Great.
Ewo.
What? All right, to explain EWO to everybody.
Okay, so my wife is an anxious person, and I'm also somebody who lives really close to the margins. So I said, you just got to adopt this new policy for the trip. EWO, everything works out. And you know what? Everything worked out. Even if you miss a flight or something doesn't go right, time will move on and things will keep moving. So it was a good way to live.
Yeah, I want to say, I'm usually a hater of things that Nathan says.
Yeah, me too.
But I actually like this philosophy a lot. And it works for me and my wife as well.
I had to use
I
the
hate it so much. You gotta take life. You gotta make it work for you. It's not just gonna work.
I had to do the Baymax method on a pair of underwear, but we got there. At the end of the day,
It is the Baymax
Is
method.
that like a diaper situation?
so I watched Big Hero 6 on the plane over, and Fred is explaining that you can actually wear underwear 4 times in a row. You wear it regular ways, backwards, inside out, and backwards and inside out, and then you need to wash it.
I think I stopped with backwards inside out because that's...
Is your underwear like black?
The underwear was fine. The Baymax method worked, and I watched it in the
color
plane.
of the underwear black?
No, it's blue and green underwear.
So it's brown now.
Boo. Boo. Bad jokes. Bad jokes. Anyway, then I tested with Justice for a week and ended up at Bologna. So, Ryan, you veered off very slightly from that. So you tell your little bit of the story, then we'll move over to the other side.
Yeah, I mean, my best part of the story was just the Cardiff CCQ in general. I thought it was a really, really well-run event. We actually had no Play Hub issues at all during that event. Is that correct? I don't remember a single Play Hub issue.
Everything ran on time. Mm-hmm. The judges were keeping it super tight. There were not a lot of bathrooms for how many people existed in the venue.
Fair.
But that wasn't the worst thing in the world. Out of all the problems that a tournament can have, a long bathroom line, but ultimately a clean bathroom is not the worst thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, your tournament seemed packed. But tell them
It
about your
was
experience.
It was 300 some people. I kind of had kind of a downfall and then a bit of a hero run. So I had the stream match round 1. Got to my table and had the paper there. Hey, you're going to the stream match. Oh, great. Get round 1 stream match. Ended up losing that match, unfortunately. So had to kind of make a comeback run through the rest of the tournament. Paired into Justice actually in round 2 or 3. 2 or 3 paired into Justice and 2-0'd him. So it was good. I was on blue-green. He was on blurple. And we've been practicing that matchup a lot. So, we were doing the thing.
So you were like 1-2?
I was 2-1 after round 3. I lost one more match on the way up. Ended up in the last round sitting right next to Jeremy. He played a win and in, and I actually took an ID because my breakers were a little bit better than his. So I did the math, and I knew it was going to be really tight, and I actually ID'd into top 32.
Dang.
Hold on. You ID'd into 32nd place.
It was nice.
That is tight.
That's very tight.
I don't think he should have ID'd for what it's worth.
Wait, how many
That's just
people?
factual that I should have.
Quick question. How many people were on that bubble?
What's the answer?
We looked at that then. I don't remember the number.
Where was there a bubble?
I was 32nd, and the guy who ID'd with me got 33rd.
Oh, brutal. So yeah.
Okay.
Felt bad for him.
What was 34th place? Same record?
I think so, yeah.
So they had draws?
Yeah.
Why were there a bunch of people with draws getting that spot? Were they unintentional people?
It's possible.
So
Yeah.
the record is 3-2-1, and I believe there were some unintentional people, and there were also way too many people that ID'd at 3-2-1, to be honest with you, or ID'd at
6-2-1.
X and 2. Yeah,
What the heck?
I don't know what to tell you.
What was happening in this tournament? I don't understand. How did other people get how are there multiple people that got 33rd, 34th? Did it go all the way down to 35, 36? All this stuff is needed to make a decision.
We
for
watched
your
people take draws multiple times throughout the day. They were just in blue mirrors, whether it was blue, purple, or green, blue. Games were going really long.
I did not know any of this.
Yeah.
Okay, this just seems like horrible decision making. So, step 1, you need to know if any other people have draws. Step 2, it's like, okay, if other people have this are going to end up at the same record, right? Like, let's say they're playing to win and they win, where do they end up and what their tiebreakers are? So we need to know exactly what's the number of those people before we make our decision.
They had no idea.
I can't believe your opponent took the draw.
None of that.
Like,
That.
that.
So
No,
we were
I
right
can,
next
like
to
you,
each
you
other.
taking the draw
No,
is
but-
one thing, and your opponent, yeah.
So did you know what your opponent was playing?
Yes.
What?
Blue purple.
They were playing Blurple.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't understand any of this.
So then you just, why would you take the draw when you probably win that, right?
Ryan, for what it's worth, this didn't make any sense to me either. We were right next to each other, and you were doing iPhone math, and I looked at my opponent, and I was like, "We
Let's
have
get
to
started.
play."
You didn't
Like,
even tell me any of this. The whole time I thought that.
I also don't call his name and ask him
okay.
to make all my life
So
decisions.
this is what happened. I was like, oh, Jeremy and Ryan sat next to each other. They both played win and ends. No.
No. I played a win and in, and lost, unfortunately.
And this guy
I
gambled.
didn't play my winning in and won.
And gambled. Okay.
You gambled. And so what, did your opponent say anything to you after? Did
Yeah,
you
I
guys-
saw him the next day. We talked about it.
I would love.
I actually think what it came down to was one of my losses was above me still, and he was playing his match out, and he won his match, so it bumped me in.
Yes, but you have to understand. You lost round 1.
Yep.
So your tiebreakers are like really, really tied to this person you lost to in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Were they like number 1 seed?
They were up there. They were pretty high.
Exactly. So if they had been forced to play and they played and they lost, your tiebreakers were tanked to oblivion, and you wouldn't have gotten 33rd. You would have gotten like,
Factual.
whatever the last place person. Okay, this gamble seemed terrible. I'm glad it worked out for you, but the luck ran out at some point, right?
Yeah, so I took down the number 1 seed in top 32, so that felt pretty good.
That was Autumn Burchett, by the way.
Yeah, Autumn Burchett. They're from Magic.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome win there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good opponent. I was just doing the thing. I was locked in at the moment. I knew it was going to be on the draw all day as the 32 seed, and I figured I would honestly just play Burple all day. So I beat the number 1 seed, and I guess because I was on stream around 1, lost, and then took down the 1 seed. They're like, let's put him back on stream. He earned his way back in. And then I got on there, and the deck just absolutely did a blue-green implosion.
Basically, I think that
Gross.
your luck meter was like, okay, we used it all to get you to 30 seconds.
I'm out of it, yeah.
You're out of luck. Because the whole time I thought that you played a win in and you won the win and then,
Nope.
and you're just like winning.
We
You
just
took a
don't play
draw.
winning it. So that's the key.
You just draw and then hope that you.
Never play winning it.
This is so. I'm like flabbergasted. I'm like, what just. That I thought something completely opposite happened. Anyways, we can move on.
You know what's weird is because like a few weeks ago, Ryan was like, I decided that it was my tournament to try to be on the play in the top cut, so I like played. So in my head, I'm like, Ryan really plays in those spots. And then here it was like they were looking at the iPhone for a long time while I was starting my match, and they were finally both like, you know what?
YOLO.
It's fine. And they just drew.
EWO.
There was a really
EWO. Maybe I do
really-
like EWO after all.
both of y'all could have knocked each other. Both of you.
You could have
Easily
both
could've
not
worked
gotten
out. Yeah,
in.
100%.
And then Ryan watches my games, and there's a really pivotal moment. It's the blurple mirror where I could into the unknown their Elsa, but it gets them to 8, and I'm not really under any pressure. There's only really one huge punish if I don't.
2 Elsas. Turn sideways and sing.
So I deploy to the board, which is what I like want to do anyway. And so I get on board, and instead of into the unknowning, I pass the turn, and they obviously windmill slam second star to the right, and I lose the game. Very sad. Probably the worst mistake I made over those 2 weeks.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna talk about this thing that Jeremy talked to me about before we went on this trip. I was like, Jeremy, how do you guarantee yourself winning the Blurple Mare? He's like, I don't even play second star to the right. My whole strategy is I'm gonna take out every single character, so they can never second star the right. I'm gonna punish them for having that. And I was like, that's not possible. It's just not possible to do that. It's not up to you. Sometimes you lose the die roll, or you just don't have the removal to get rid of something. They didn't turn it sideways, and it's like, that's what your whole tournament came down to, was that decision.
And I even told you, like, you have to do it even when it's bad. Obviously, Into the Unknowing them up to 8 with their Elsa sucks and is a bad play, but you can't get second starred. So I, knew I should have done it, but it was just so much worse than, playing my Genie or whatever I ended up doing, that I was just like, you know what? Or maybe I Finders Keepers or whatever. It was just like, you know what? I just can't do such a bad.
The match ended. He looked straight at me, and I said, "Why'd you break your own rule in game one?"
I broke my own rule in the Blurple Mirrors. I let him second star me for no reason other than it's those moments where you have to. Sorry?
For no reason.
No raisins?
No raisins.
Okay. So, yeah, that was the end of my tournament. Ryan's tournament obviously ended on camera. He lost both his camera matches, looking like a big chump in front of everybody.
That's why I don't like the Blurple mirror match. It's like...
I don't even, they're just blue mirrors to me. I call them all blue mirrors, right? The blue-green mirror or the blue-purple mirror.
But this is not like blue-red where it was, super skill-intensive, the better player won all the time. Mm-mm. This is what is happening? They can't, even in red-purple, you could play your rabbits wrong. In this one, it's draw 5 cards. You're okay.
Yeah, it's so hard to punish right now with the lack of removal. You're like, all right, you're just gonna always have 2 characters to sing this.
It also always feels like it's this moment where both players have nothing in hand and the other person's just looking at it like, please don't draw the second star. And they draw it right then and there. Every person that came up to me is like, no, you're never gonna believe what happened.
How did I lose? It was
2 cards or 5 cards.
And I always have to be like, what happened, man? And they're like, they drew the second star, they had nothing. Stop playing the mirror. Stop it.
I've also never failed to receive a look when somebody second stars against me, and Ryan saw the look hard when he was watching, and they give you a look that's like, I win now, and you should stop. And you saw the look on that guy's face?
Yeah, I've seen it.
The first, did you see when Kendall did it to me? He had the exact same look. Just they look up at you like.
No, I'm going to keep playing. You might have hit 4 T-posts.
I'll tell you something, Zan.
Actually, that is what Kendall did. Kendall second star to the right and then ramped twice right after.
Nothing is worse than the keep playing, though. It's a demoralizing game where you're like, maybe they'll ink one premium, and then the ink will get into the unknown, and you're like, this is my chance. I'm going to get back. I'm going to get right back in there. And then, you play a Finders Keeper, and then you start to notice, oh, now I have 4 cards, and they only have 5, so I'm, actually getting... And then they second star again, and you're like, well...
That card says it on it. It's like, I'm going to second star.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again.
Twice.
I'll find the second one.
Yep.
Okay, so, keep on keeping on. How did it go in Stockholm? Camera over to you, and I'm... chilling. How did it go?
You can start it off.
How was the flight? How was everything?
Yeah, so I think I got in the earliest of everybody. I got into Amsterdam. My wife and I went to Amsterdam. That was the city she wanted to see most. So we did Amsterdam into Stockholm. Amsterdam was really, really nice. We went around, had a bunch of good vegan food, went to a coffee shop. And there are also a few cafes, not the same thing. And then we ended up in Stockholm. Stockholm was great. Loved all the public transit. I won't lie that was we did a ton of walking every single day, and I felt very refreshed and good. So I was feeling really good going into the tournament. I brought purple steel locations. Didn't perform how I wanted to. The tournament was really interesting. I thought it was run decently well. Some of the judges weren't top tier, I would say. I think there was a few calls that we think that should have gone different directions. But it was interesting because the top cut was what was it? It was X3 was going to make it in.
Yeah, basically they were talking about it the day before. The turnout that they hoped wasn't turning up. Basically half the people showed up. It's like
Very small.
128, right? Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And they expected double that, 256. And so since half the people showed up, they were contemplating whether they should make it top 16 or top 32. And since half the people came, they should have made it top 16. But they made it top 32, which made it basically really easy for people to make it, because I've never played in a tournament where you make top cut after when you lose 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that's like the easiest cut ever. And I didn't know that I was still in contention just because I was having a bad day. Then I made an awful misplay with a Madam Mem elephant and my Calhoun, and I should have just traded it in. And then at that point, that was when I was like X3, and I could have won that match, but I was just
Yeah, you walked over to me and you're like, I was dead anyways. I was like, no, you were alive for the tournament.
Yep. That was playing with the loser's mentality.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, Nathan's not going to make top 32 with me. And yeah, that was rough.
But how did your day go? Very different to mine.
Yeah, basically, I won all my rounds, and then my tiebreakers were good because I played against my teammate in round 1, and I mean, he's a fabulous player, and he won all of his rounds and still made top 32. And so my tiebreakers were great. And so I drew my last 2 rounds because I didn't need to play them in order to lock up first seed. I was first seed. And then I got paired against... I looked at my top 32 matchups. And basically every deck was a great matchup except for 32nd place, which is what I was playing against, which was a person who had lost 3 times already, but was playing green steel. You can never beat me. You can never, like, dogs. It's like dogs kryptonite. It was
so bad.
It was so bad. I saw it and I was like, okay, if I can get past this person, leverage my play, I will win this tournament. And they had the best draws I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, I'm going to win the next turn. My opponent goes, no cards in hand. Dock into strength, into improvise, and I had a 4/4 lady turn sideways, and they had no way to remove it, but the improvise made their Calhoun trade exactly, but I still had lethal through that. The strength that they hit allowed them to cast the strength for exactly 3, and I had a 1-cost lady with a tramp that I had already brought back, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go for lethal. No, they just double hit the perfect thing, and all of a sudden I went from like, I'm gonna win game 1. Now, like, I knew I needed to win game 1 in order to be on the play in game 3, and I lost that game. And first of all, we couldn't even process the fact that we were not on camera round 1, but the crowd around us was like the whole convention was watching this one match, and I was like, this could not go any more poor. I would say that was like when that round happened, that was like basically the culmination of what ended up happening for the rest of the time there, where I felt like my record was so freaking good. I barely ever lost, that my losses didn't line up correctly. For like, if you looked at how many times I won over the course of the weekend, because my record in Italy ended up being 5-1, which was 1 short of making day 2. I was like, I have not lost at all. How am I sitting in this spot? But I felt the same way when we rewind all the way back in Texas, where I think I had only lost the minimum amount of times. Like, we played in the Super Sunday series, which I lost once, and then I finished back then, I don't remember, 4 wins, what do you call it, a bunch of draws, 1 loss and a bunch of draws, or what? No, it was 5 wins, 5 wins, 1 loss, and all draws. And basically everybody was like telling me, oh, you're gonna make day 2, you're gonna be good, and then I played a win in on camera, and it was like 1 short, and I was like, holy crap, I won like the max amount of times, like, and I still didn't get into Top Cut. I remember Jeremy made top 32, and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, I lost less than this guy, and he made top 32, and I didn't. What?
No, nothing nice. I got mentioned and I stood up. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like it's not only that you have to like perform at like the highest level. Your losses need to be at the exact right moment, and that just makes me feel like is this system good or is this system bad? What is happening?
Yeah, there's some talk about, there's an increase in rounds now, right? And we're playing best of threes instead of best of twos. So we're playing a lot more games. And the top cut is now cut in half. So we went from top 64 to a top 32.
Yeah, but I also don't think that we have enough rounds to compensate for, like, we have, like, the best thing to look at, Magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can look at a Grand Prix. Those are 15 rounds. We're doing 11 rounds?
12 maybe?
We're doing 12 rounds.
12 rounds?
Yeah.
Which is 3 less than Magic, which
Uh,
feels bad.
Yeah, it's interesting that we keep trying to reinvent the wheel in Lorcana, but it's like, fine, I guess I just spent all this money to fly to Italy and play in like a growing pain tournament, and that was something that we kind of knew was happening, and we still made that decision. So we put ourselves in a position to be in a growing pain tournament, but let's try to focus on getting to the tournament. So that's what happened to you at the CCQ. Now let's get to Bologna. For me, it was pretty simple. I stayed at Justice's apartment and then flew to Bologna. What happened with basically the three of you? And we'll start with we'll go over there and ask.
So Brittany and I went to Milan. I think last time I talked about that we were going to Lake Como. That didn't work out because we didn't book the tour in time. And honestly, best mistake ever. Milan was great. Fashion place, good food place, public transit's great. There was a lot of graffiti, but I'd say overall, like it was. I'd say overall,
Hates graffiti.
No, I guess the area we were staying in.
I wonder why there was so much graffiti.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was that out of all the cities that we went to, there was a lot of graffiti, even more than in Bologna, which is kind of there was a lot there too. But the city was great, so that was best mistake. We do want to eventually do a run back for Lake Como, but that'll be another year or another trip. And then we eventually met up with everybody in Venice on Wednesday, which was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, my wife and I just went to Florence and then ended up in Venice.
I thought Venice was great. We did a detour in to watch a Wrexham match in Leicester before we came to Venice, so that was a blast. Big Wells guy, me.
Great. I already said what I did. I hung out in Birmingham. I did what
Can we talk about Bologna now?
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
we took
so
a train. Yeah, we took a train, and luckily there were strikes going on. We were fortunate. I know that probably a lot of our viewers and people that talk to us, like they had a lot of trouble getting to Bologna because of protests, some strikes, different things going on. And I think we were very, very fortunate. We saw the notification the day before that there was going to be a strike. So we had an early morning train, but we were able to get on it. And I think that was huge.
Yeah, that was super fortunate. A lot of people really struggled to get to Bologna. I just walking into that convention center, I was like, are we in the right place?
It was a little empty, a little industrial, a little scary.
So a couple people were talking about, I really want to do compliment sandwiches for DLC Bologna because I feel like a lot of stuff was amazing. The commentary crew, the show they put on,
I killed it.
They were phenomenal. I went back and watched some matches, and they were a ton of fun to watch because of the commentary, but also the video quality was high. They kept the games coming snappy. That was awesome.
I'm a big fan of the casting crew. They picked me on their fantasy team. I got to be on a fantasy team. I think I'm quitting actual fantasy now because I'm a fantasy pick. Kawa, you made me quit fantasy football.
The other end of the sandwich is the community. I think the community in Bologna was tight knit. It felt like I was in a room with 2,000 friends, basically. I mean, everyone was really friendly. People that didn't just know us outright were, polite and kind, and everyone was like committed to making it work and having a good time. But why do they have to be committed to making it work and having a good time? It's because it's not working. So we had to do the tournament on the Ravensburger Play Hub, and also we had to do with a little bit less than we've been doing. The DLCs used to have a lot of like sort of flashy Disney panels and scenery and things you could take pictures next to. This DLC, not so much. We were in what was basically an industrialized convention center with lots of like exposed railing and things of that nature. And there were some tables and there were some vendors. And what else do you really need for a tournament? Seemed to be sort of the philosophy of it getting put together. So on the compliment sandwich side, some things are going really well and they're really people driven. Some things are going not so well, and I'm going to spend some time talking about what that is, and then you guys can piggyback if you want to, or I understand if you don't want to. The Ravensburger Play Hub was pretty close to non-functional. It crashed all day long. People had to submit their pairings manually. The Card IO team was supposedly there trying to fix issues live. Good on them for trying, but I don't really know what they did because, that site basically alternated between
Oops, I dropped my cards.
a screen that said oops, I dropped my cards, to just a crash that just said this server is not responding, the white screen of death. And that was a lot of people's tournament experience, and we lost hours and hours to Play Hub not being pairing the next round gracefully or whatever. It was, by all accounts, probably one of the worst tournaments run on software that I've ever played in. Yeah, we'll go back to me, and that sucks. It's not what I want to say. I want to say I had a great time. I even did have a great time hanging out with my friends and exploring a new place. But the tournament was a low point. I'm willing to give Bologna a mulligan because when we arrived in Bologna, all the civil workers are on strike, the buses are on strike, a lot of the restaurants are closed, and there's a huge civil rights protest happening. And that's all sort of outside of... anyway, I just don't want to judge Bologna on that, right? Because maybe Bologna is an amazing city when everything's going, but when we got there, it was not. So I'm willing to say, Bologna, it's a wash. There's some good food. There's a cool Welsh pub there, but I don't really know how good Bologna is. But once we got in that convention center, it kind of was like, this is not going well. Zan, what do you think? I'm going to go to you. What do you got for us?
I feel like you covered our experience really well. I'm worried about the experience for someone who's playing a card game tournament for the first time. I cannot imagine that I would go to this tournament. This is my first tournament, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back to one of these. Or if you're a parent that brought a kid, how the heck are you like? That's like a nightmare.
Do we always sit here for an hour between rounds?
Exactly. It's like, okay, my kid has to go to bed by this time. We're leaving the convention center max by 9:30. And we're rehearsed. We're like, we got to get out of here. We got to find food before everybody else leaves. We left at 9:30.
Right.
What about the regular person who's like, am I supposed to do anything else before I leave? They're leaving at 10:30. That's crazy. And we were just waiting forever. I really felt like, now bringing it back to us, we're tired. We're so tired because nothing was working yesterday. I just felt like there was no one really looking at us and being like, let's make it easier for all the competitors. No, we got a security line, and that security line, you're going to stand in here forever. We're all dangerous people. It's like, what? Why are we doing this? Skip some steps. None of the escalators ever worked. I was like, well, what are the point of these? I feel like we got to save some time somewhere. On top of all of that, the food situation wasn't great. The bathroom situation wasn't great. The bathrooms were next level bad. And
Very close urinals.
Yeah. I basically decided I was never going to number 2 here. I'm going to hold it the whole day, all the way until we get back to our Airbnb. which is not healthy, I don't think.
It's Zan's second number 2 reference of the podcast, if anybody's keeping count.
I think this could be. I want to keep the conversation constructive, but I feel like it's important to say if we had a bad time. So I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to complain.
No, it's about the thing that was amazing about it were the people.
We still had a good time.
People were really great.
People were amazing. Nathan, why don't we do this? You're newer to card games. You recently went to the Star Wars Galactic Championship in Vegas.
Okay.
Don't compare it to that. Compare it to like DLC Vegas last year.
Yeah, that's what I would say, because it was glorious in comparison.
Compare it to DLC Vegas. That is not gonna make us. That is not gonna make this tournament sound good. DLC Vegas was awesome. Here's some things that I really like about DLC Vegas. Huge viewing area. I've decided I'm a sucker for a big viewing area. If I can sit down in a little theater and watch my friends, or even just watch the people that are left play,
So good.
I love it. I love doing that. I've heard, and I want everyone that's like listening to the podcast to really think about what I'm about to say. I've heard that there was actually a viewing area in Bologna.
That would be a stretch.
And it was.
I think I saw a tweet about one somewhere. I think that the flow of people and information, and it's like it wasn't intuitive, right? It's like we're in this giant room. Is there a stage? I didn't know if there was a stage.
There was a microphone, and people were saying stuff in the microphone, but no one heard anything the entire weekend. No one heard.
Everyone for round 2. You're gonna finish off 2 in a pairing, and we're actually doing one last round. I'm like, wait, are we doing one less round? What's going on? And to give them like a little bit of grace, this happens at a lot of tournaments, right? It's just like the facing of these speakers. It's a large area, but like I think that when running these events, you've got to be able to get like this important information out to people. Whether it's like you have a central thing with like a news section, I don't know. You got to have some type of way that players can get this stuff.
I don't know if you guys remember, but we were sitting there and we've had those announcements all weekend. And finally, out of like the clouds, comes the clearest voice I've ever heard.
When the British lady gets on.
This lady gets on there and you hear every single letter she says. And you're like, where has she been all weekend?
And then she never says anything again.
Yeah, it was just
one
that
time.
one announcement.
Ravensburger, find that lady and get her to do all the announcements.
I remember looking around at the players' meeting or whatever. It was actually just round 1 of the Infinity event. And we were like, me and everyone was like, I heard everything. What was that? Did they fix the speakers? I mean, what was that? I do remember that. That was interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, what's the constructive conversation here? I guess I'll ask Zan for some advice. We're content creators. Nobody wants to see us complain. We don't even want to complain, right? We're not negative people. What's the takeaway? What do we do with
There's
this?
a lot of things that we need to break down. Let's talk about a bunch of 10 and 2 players who did not make the top 32 cut. This is an important topic. Those players, I think it was 8 of them, who did not make top 32 cut, deserve a slot into their Continentals.
Yeah, you want them to get the Continental invite because they have the same record as people that did get the Continental.
Exactly, and that needs to be heard. Those people deserve it. 10 and 2, and you did not get your invite.
I would be so sick.
That's ridiculous. Okay, now there needs to be an investigation into why that happened. Mathematically, it shouldn't happen. But there are things that I saw. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Which was, we did not have a player meeting. We were supposed to have a player meeting. The player meeting didn't happen. We had round 1 immediately.
That was strange.
Which meant that I felt like 100 people at least got buys.
In round 1.
In round 1. It might have been more. I think that the event was actually fully capped, and we had 1,800 something players play. That means there were like almost close to 300 buys awarded.
300 players missing, so 150 buys.
That's huge.
That's insane.
And we actually know why we didn't have a player meeting. It wasn't strange. It was because there was a line to get in the venue a morning of that was 2 hours long.
Yeah, so there was no calculation done, and it's like, no one brought like, they didn't stop anything. Like I also don't understand. Okay, why don't you start this process at 8? Everybody just standing there, staring at each other.
Or just how many security guards do you need to get X number of people through the doors in X amount of time?
Yeah, it's
Seems
just, you're
pretty
just playing a
simple.
math game because they were like, I'd open my bag and they'd be like, and then I just walk in and I'm like, all right, why is this taking so long?
150 buys being awarded throws the math off that future 2 days later there are 8 people who do not get to play in top 32, and that should not be a case. Do you know how much a buy is worth in this tournament? It fixes your tiebreakers.
A round 1 buy is pretty extreme. I would even go so far as to say that, like, I was considering should Worlds players have had a 2-round buy?
No, I'm not gonna argue for that. I'm not gonna talk about that. I don't care about that. What I do care about is fix the tournament as is for the average person.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna ask for any special. I don't need anything special.
You need less buys, I think.
I mean, look at
Make
the way
your
the
tournament
format
harder.
is. Make the format better. So I can actually capitalize. But with the next set, hopefully the format will be better.
Worlds players should get an anti-buy.
Mhm.
They have to play a pre-round.
To even get into the tournament.
And if you win that round, you start at 0. If you don't, you have a negative 3 points.
I mean, on average, we're playing more matches on camera, so
That's
I'm
more
sure-
pressure.
I'm saying that we have like a more pressure.
And that it also shows off your deck.
Yes, information. I did not play against a single opponent who didn't know what I was playing. Every opponent was mulliganing super hard against whatever. They knew exactly what I was playing.
They're like, you from Georgia? How about them dogs?
I hate that so much. It's so bad. I don't remember what round it was, but you had a match against Moyen that had more people watching it maybe than were watching the stream.
Yeah, I really wanted that to be on camera.
Should've
Moyen as well. I mean, it was a spectacular match.
It was really
Yeah,
good.
it looked great.
I mean, Moyen had a sweet build of Blurple with They Never Come Back and Elsa, and they were in what do you call it, on the play. I lost a die roll, and so game 1 I just got. I did not expect it. They got me game 1, and then I had to bring it back games 2 and 3. Super tight. MVP is Chromacon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely the difference maker in those games.
Yeah, but he played well. I think that there was one specific mistake that had to do with inking a Into the Unknown, which is a easy mistake to make. But yeah, I really wish that was on camera because I would definitely review it because there were so many key decisions. It was like, I mean, if you made 100 decisions, if one of those 100 decisions was wrong, I lose. And if if more of his decisions were wrong, he lost. But it's possible if he made that Into the Unknown decision differently, could have saved him maybe 4 to 6 lore, which could have changed the outlook of that game because Lilo plus Chromacon was what was really annoying him in the match. So I really wish it was on camera. I really wish people got to see it. I did feel like it was surprising to be only on camera once, like in the totality of the whole trip, right? Like going to all the way to Stockholm and then going to the other place, Bologna. Bologna I wasn't on at all. But yeah, I just feel like it's I feel like there should be names. If those two names meet, that we gotta get them on camera.
Yeah, just like trigger something.
How do we create storylines otherwise? I'm not one to like ask for camera matches, but like when I'm playing again, when it's like two titans.
The ICCCCC final rematch.
Exactly.
People were, for the record, standing on chairs to get a glimpse into this game.
Yeah.
There were people who were like climbing up the walls to try to watch this game. I was pretty close, so I was in a really good spot. But the game was intense. It was cool. It's what I guess good Lorcana is supposed to look like, where both players are making a ton of decisions every turn. You can tell that the choices are hard and agonizing. I actually think there was one play that I didn't understand where Moyen challenged one of your people and challenged one of your characters, and you had a Chromacon in play, and you bounced your own go-go while he still had an active genie that could challenge. And, like, when you did that, Moyen made a face like, oh, my God, I didn't think that was going to happen. And I just think that moment on camera would have been cool because I was sort of right there with Moyen. I was like, that was way better than what I was thinking of doing.
It's because the go-go was untapped, too,
It
right?
was
So he
untapped.
would have had to have played his Elsa to tap the go-go and then challenge it.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole decision process.
Basically, in that moment, we're going through some crazy amount of lines. And the thing to remember in that spot is I had a pattern that I had created with Chromacon. Bounce your guy, bounce your guy, bounce your guy, bounce your guy. I did it so many times.
You pointed at his Elsa like 7 times.
Yeah, and when you're creating that motion, you can expect that your opponent, with the time crunch and all that stuff, is going to think, oh, they're just going to bounce this genie or they're going to bounce this thing, not their own card.
Because I go back in hand and lock the game. Yeah.
Exactly, because I didn't have any cards on my side of the field that were advantageous to put in my hand until that moment. And that was game 3, and I had Chromacon in 2 out of 3 games. So once that pattern is established, I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this up as soon as he does it. So when you guys saw it, I made the decision faster than most other people could even comprehend it, because I was like, there's no way he's going to allow me to do this. But if he does, I win the game.
Scoop it up.
So I just scooped it as fast as possible and hit and so his expression was,
I'm gonna try to do it.
Yeah, because he had an Elsa in hand, right? I think that was one of the cards
Yeah,
that I was surprised that he didn't play. So it's like, but there were so many decision points, so that was...
It was understandable.
huge,
There was
yeah.
a lot of... everything was
He had like 15
understandable.
ink, and there was just like so much
He
going
played
on.
better than I think any other Blurple opponent I had ever played against, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Oh, yeah. It looked like it watching it, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that his list had the best shot at beating me.
Mhm.
And so, as much as I've played this deck, I know I have 100% win rate. That's the closest I felt to losing. And I feel, I got to give him kudos for putting up such a strong fight.
Let's try to keep it pushing, keep it moving. What else we got, Nathan? What else are we talking about?
I think that's like we've talked mostly about the main topic, so we can just keep chatting about the tournament.
Anything else you want to say about the DLCs? And we've been negative. Let's try our best to stay there was a lot of good stuff to focus on.
We should talk about draws.
We should talk about draws.
I went 5-2-1.
I draw poorly.
No, I mean...
I was always on the draw.
I'm talking about...
I was always on the draw, except
Never
for
won a die roll. Never
I
drew
won
a good card.
one of 8 die rolls.
Let's
but
talk
but back
about
to
draws.
the actual draw.
Oh yeah, let's talk about what Zan was.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go positive on die rolls either. I went 3 and 5, better than 1 and 7. But don't. That's part of the game,
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta just accept
Yeah,
it.
It's worse than 4 and 4.
sure. Okay, let's. I just wanted to talk about, because people saw my record. They're like, oh, how did that happen?
Right.
So I feel like I should talk about it. So I'm 4-1 currently. This is right after my Moyen match. I played against an opponent, and my opponent is playing dogs, just like me, except for they're playing a much more combo-y version, where I'm playing Under the Sea. They're also playing Under the Sea, but they're also playing Circle of Life, so they can bring back cards like the 9-drop Prince Philip and
Chippendale.
and 7-cost Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a much more combo element to their deck. And I lost the die roll. We're playing in game 1, and basically, in this matchup, Under the Sea is a huge thing. If you Under the Sea, you win almost 100% of the time. So, I played they played an Ursula, they missed. I played an Ursula, I missed. But we both saw that we both had tramps. So my opponent played a tramp. They only got to look at 3 cards. put them down, and I was like, okay, I need to think, if they under the sea, can I beat that?
So you have to Ursula check him.
But I didn't have the Ursula. So I slammed my tramp, and my plan was, I have 2 ladies in my hand. I'm going to fill up my discard so I can play these ladies and outgrind them. Because both of us are like 0 lore, basically. And so I play my tramp, and they did top deck the Under the Sea. They Under the Sea me. And the turn before, when I played the tramp, I just took the turn to ink so I could make sure I could just hard cast these ladies. And so I immediately drew for turn, inked like a Bobby, and then just played a tramp, brought back 2 cards. My opponent could take this opportunity and quest with everything, but just decides to quest with like 1 or 2 things. And I'm like, what? They need to close out this game. They're not closing out this game, but they're going in the tank. They're taking up all the clock, but they're making mistakes. They're overthinking. At first, they're like, I'm going to turn everything sideways. And they don't. And my opponent was like, started off the match by being like, oh, I'm a big fan. And it's like, I'm nervous. My hands are shaking, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. And so they're making mistakes. And I'm like, I don't want to disturb them from making the mistakes. I have to let them get in their own head, continue to play the match. So I played a lady, and now I'm climbing back into this game. I play another lady, climbing back into the game. They play a lady, but they use the song to bring a lady from their discard onto the field, but they don't have any characters to bring back. So they bring back no characters. So I'm like then they just started turning half their stuff sideways. So then I started taking out half of their stuff. And the game keeps going. They had such an overwhelming advantage because they under the seed like 4 of my characters, and I was emptied out, and they had and they were on the play. So we get to this point at which I have a Heffalump and Woozles in my hand, and I'm going to Heffalump and Woozles, whatever is the next thing that they play, and then I can just quest twice and win the game. And my opponent proceeds to draw a Prince Philip, which is a 3/2 ward, which ends up being exactly what they need in order to get the last bit of lore to win the match. I mean, not win the match, win the game. Yeah. So now we go into game 2. Now I look at the clock. There are 28 minutes left. So my opponent took 32 minutes. Not my opponent alone. I'm in that.
I was about to say, like, hold on.
But this 32 minutes, I would make a argument that my opponent took majority of that time.
But basically, by not really like capitalizing and turning all of his guys sideways, he kept you in the game. So it kept the game at a point where you didn't feel like you had to concede, even after the Under the Sea, because you were still in the game. You were just as close, so it extended.
Exactly. So I let my opponent know we got only 28 minutes left. Now I'm like, we got to play fast. Like, my opponent's already wasted enough time. And the reason why I'm not calling slow play is because my opponent's like messing up. I actually think that if they make the first decision that they are going to make, that it would be bad for me. So
that instinct,
that them being able to contemplate their play is what making them make the wrong play. So we move on to game 2. I win the game in 15 minutes. We have 13 minutes left on the clock. This next game, my opponent has a really, really great hand, but they are just... I think that they're just tanking and messing up. And basically, my opponent starts off the game with a 0-3 lady, then goes 0-3 lady, tramp, doesn't quest.
Yeah, I remember I was there by this point. Wow. He did not quest a 0-3, and it could have quested for 3 right there for sure. Exactly.
And so in my situation, I think I played an Ursula on 2. I was able to take the Under the Sea. Then I saw later on in the game, when I looked at their hand, they had an Ursula. They ended up playing the Ursula, and I had the Under the Sea. That would have wiped their field, but that was gone. So basically now the game became whoever turns sideways first. and I decided to turn sideways first, and my opponent then started attacking my stuff. But they were the ones on the play, so they should have had the advantage. So whenever they swung sideways, I always had a great answer to come back and take out most of their field. So basically, the spot that we ended up, the 10 turns that we played, I basically wiped out their whole field. They're left with like 2 characters. I'm left with like 3 or 4 characters. I'm at 12 lore. They're at 1 lore. It's inevitable that I'm going to win.
Yep. It's going to take another 15 minutes, but you're going to win the game. Yep.
Yeah. Basically, we canceled each other out, and we have stuff that can only lore for 1. And the nature of the matchup is if you have Daisy Duck, you never want to turn it sideways because you're giving your opponent so much resource. So you would think that this matchup finishes really quick. It does when both the people under the sea, but when it doesn't, it's like you're both staring at each other hoping the other person would make a mistake. Since they won the die roll, they had all the... They should have won, to be honest. They should have won game 3. They should have been in a power position. But we ended up in this spot where I'm going to win eventually, but we ran out of time. And so I look at my opponent and I say, it's up to you. And my opponent's contemplating, I think at the end of this match, I could make a pretty strong argument that I didn't make this argument, but my opponent took 40 minutes. I took 20 minutes. I shouldn't have had a chance to win game 1 or game 3, but I've managed to put myself in a winning position in both of them. And I am trying to make a case that I won, that I deserve to win this match. If this means double loss for both of us, if the roles were reversed, my opponent did beat me in that spot, I think I 100% just lock in. They get the win because I think that I shouldn't be advocating for anything that I wouldn't do myself. And so my mindset is if I'm in a losing position, I should concede. And so I will concede if I'm in a losing position. And so, yeah.
Could you explain to the viewer why is a draw here a double loss?
Well, it's the amount of points that you need in order to make day 2. In this specific case, you need 6 wins and 2 losses, which can be obtained two different ways. Well, 6, that's 18 points. So you need 18 points. So another way you can get it is if you have 5 wins and 3 draws.
Then you can never make Top Cut for any reason, basically.
No, you can make
You
Top
could.
Cut.
You just
never lose again. Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep winning.
Well, they never lost in the first place.
Ugh.
Yeah, you can't never lose again
Yeah.
because you can't do something
You'd
again
have
if
to-
you don't
Yeah.
do it the first time.
Yep. So 4-1 was our record at that time. So it's not possible for us to obtain that result.
Right.
And so we were just locked into that position of
Yep.
as good as a loss. And
Yep.
so my opponent was genuinely thinking about it. The part that I thought was weird was the judge behind me says in Italian, which we were both communicating in English the whole
entire
time.
Yeah.
Don't do anything.
Yeah, you obviously
unusual.
didn't understand it because he said it in Italian, but afterwards the guy
Yeah.
looked at you and said, "That's what the judge said to me."
And that's the reason why he wasn't considering the decision of conceding. And I just think that, there should be opportunity, especially if you're the one who took all the clock and did all these things, and then we're in a losing position, that you should be able to concede in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Not by collusion of the judge who's actually influencing the outcome of the match, right? They don't have the full context, right? And we're not going to say anything illegal. We're saying in front of you, and if you say something illegal, you should stop that. But with nothing being said illegally, I think that a judge influencing the match that way is actually against the rules, and I think that we need to be careful about that. So, in the moment, I just sucked it up and then played my next 2 rounds. Played against Blue Green, and lost against them. Then Amber Steel beat them, And yeah, overall, I feel like I took every best line I could to put myself in a position to win. The question I have is like, okay, could I have achieved that result? If my opponent had played better, I think I could never win that match. And I needed to make a decision that was best for him to make worse decisions. And I think that I did. But I think the best result from that was a draw, not a loss.
And we've talked about before, like, you know, your opponent was a little newer, right? And then we always say, like, the newer player's never going to concede. Just
Wait,
because.
what made you think that he was newer?
He told me that.
Oh, you talked to him after?
Yeah. You were right there. I was sitting right next to you. I talked to him.
I didn't hear him.
He and I had like a little
You
talk.
were in a different space, I think, at that point. Yeah.
He and I had a little talk where he said that, like, he felt like, I probably should never tell you this, but he said that he felt like he probably would have given it to you, but since there were like so many people watching and the judge was like basically telling him not to do anything, he just felt pressured and he didn't know what to do, so he just said it's a draw, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we had chess clocks. Yeah.
Dude, if we had chess clocks, I'd win every game of Lorcana.
You have the most draws out of all of us. You do.
There's also like the psychological part of a chess clock when you like slam it, you know, you're like tink. They're like, all right, take your action, and then you go and they're like, nope, that's you now. It's you now.
Yeah,
I had to call a judge for the so play. I feel like all weekend I stared at my opponents while they played Lorcana.
There's a lot of blue decks that are pretty slow.
I don't know if they are that slow. Like, I'm not the fastest Lorcana player, but I draw my card, make my decision, I play my cards, and then I stare at them for 20 minutes while they try and figure out how to play.
It seemed as though the decks that were mostly in the draw bracket were blue-green, which was interesting. I felt like Blurple would have been more so, but I guess it finishes the game pretty well.
Yeah, you know, I don't think I have a draw with Blurple. I think, you kind of play, your turn 5, 6, and 7 is like really important, and you do a powerful thing, and then you either die because that thing didn't work, or the game ends pretty much when it ends. The mirrors are usually determined by second star, and I'll be honest, it doesn't take too long after that. They're usually over in a reasonable amount of time after that happens. I don't think a Blurple mirror takes as long as you would expect.
You're specifically talking about a Blurple mirror.
He was saying, like, I'm surprised Blurple didn't have more draws. And then he thought about it and was like, well, I guess those games kind of wrap up.
What did you play at SSG?
I don't know.
He played blue-green, I played blue-green.
We both played blue-green.
At SSG?
Yeah.
No, SSG. We both
At
played
SSG,
Blurple.
he played blue-purple.
Oh, you just said you didn't have any draws.
Oh,
that was not in a mirror. He had a draw against blue.
We're just talking about the draw. Yeah, the draw. I got confused. I thought we were just talking about draws in general with blue purple.
No.
Yeah,
and that was his opponent's fault.
He did do that.
Yeah.
I'll let him off the hook for that one.
Well, that was 2 rounds in a row.
His opponent.
But he scooped to Kendall, which was
he
huge.
did time the very next round. Maybe I'm not letting you off the hook.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh no.
The facts are is that he
This
has
was
the most
before it was an
draws.
establised Blurple.
This is
now that Blurple's like figured out, it usually wraps up.
Yeah.
But
what do you think the card difference is from?
I mean, who can even?
It's almost exactly the same.
Who can even say I didn't have any second stars in my list.
Kendall did.
You didn't have it in Cardiff either.
I didn't
Nah.
have it in Cardiff.
Exactly.
Because, I'll explain why. I wanted to play it, but Lorcana Villain said that he would put me on camera if I played Mufasa.
He didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Did you get on camera?
He literally did say that.
No, he
It
didn't.
was in the morning, and he was like, you know how he is. He's like, we'd love to have you on. We love Americans on the stream. And I was like, he was like, just play anything spicy and I'll put you on. I was like, what if I played Mufasa and Blurple? He was like, oh yeah, that'll do it, mate. That'll do it. And so I show up to the tournament. I show him the deck list sheet where it says I'm registering Mufasa instead of second star. He's like, nice.
When did he become Australian?
Yeah, just now actually.
And that guy never put me on camera all day long. And I can't believe it. Such a betrayal.
I think that's a great spot to stop.
Slops the Lorcana Villain, and let's wrap up this podcast. Thanks so much. The easiest way to support us is to like, comment, and subscribe. If you saw this video, leave a comment on what your favorite complaint that Zan had about DLC Bologna was.
Or that you agree with.
Or that you agree with. and give Ravensburger a suggestion on what they can use instead of PlayHub to run tournaments. I recommend just writing all the pairings on a chalkboard. Or using smoke signals. I mean, at this point, we're desperate. So, yeah, leave a comment. Best way to figure out what the pairings are. I have been one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertrioni. You can find me on Twitter at MoxJeremy. I do a space usually Monday mornings. This week it was Tuesday, where we talk about the formats. It's a little more loose than this. So what I did this past week is people could ask me any questions about DLC Bologna. A lot of interesting stuff like that. Ryan, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter, ACL Ryan Walk. Just a quick shout out to, all the casters were great, but obviously I love Kawa Kim. I thought they did a great job on their first casting role. Shout out to just some people that in Europe that helped us out a little bit. Alphos was great, took us some good spots, and Jordan Dale with some good hookups.
All right, and going over there, Nathan, where can they find you at?
At Nathan Tripp on Twitter. And yeah, everybody who came up to us while we were in Europe, thanks it made it a very welcoming experience. So I just wanted to shout all you guys out.
All right, and Zan, take us home. Where can they find you?
You're already here, and a bunch of people gave us a bunch of random food items, and we're going to try those on the next podcast.
Next podcast, we're going over the gifts. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.